Hey, so I haven't gone live for a very long time, so hopefully this is all working okay. There's nobody else here at the moment, but if you do pop in, then please let me know if you can see and hear me. I'm going to just have a swig of tea. So I basically wanted to have a chat about, well, there's been a lot of kind of apocalyptic and Armageddon type signs. Oh, hey, Andrea. Can you let me know if you can hear me okay? I'm actually using like an external mic, so which in fact you can just see it. I'll try and adjust it so you can't see it. Yeah, can you see me and hear me okay, everybody? Oh, cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. So yeah, I wasn't planning on making a video today, but this morning I felt like, I think I want to have just a kind of a chat. So if you have got a cup of tea handy or you can just sit for a little while, it's not going to be ages. I won't take up ages of your time, I promise. So you've probably all been noticing the signs. There are definitely apocalyptic. Oh, hey, Belle. There's apocalyptic Armageddon type signs around at the moment. We've had fires, we've had floods, we even had locusts. I saw something in the news about a passenger plane above, I think it was above Ethiopia, which almost needed to have to make a crash landing because locusts had like swarmed all over the plane. And obviously we have this virus, which is kind of sweeping around the world at the moment. There's an awful lot of fear out there, and fear, if you're familiar with Dr. Emoto, he was a scientist. Sorry if you already know about him. He was a scientist who did all these experiments with like water, and he projected different emotions at the water. So like some water was infused with love, some water was infused with like harmony, world peace, things like that. And then other water that it was sent like negative emotions to. And the actual molecular structure, when you looked at it in really, really, really up close with these amazing microscopes, the structure of the water changed. And, we have a lot of water in our bodies. Water is like the emotion medium. In tarot, it's our heart. It's what flows between us and connects us. And, the blood that kind of passes down through generation to generation as well. And it's something that when we know that if fear is sent at us, if we are kind of bombarded, which we are being at the moment with these messages of fear, that can have an actual effect on our bodies. It like lowers our vibration and it makes us tight and tense and unable to be free. And I think that is kind of the point. I'm not like fully buying into the conspiracy theories, but I feel we definitely don't get the full picture of what is going on. We aren't told what is going on a grander scale of things for all sorts of different reasons. I feel like especially with this virus, there was an economic downturn coming, and it would be very handy to have a scapegoat for that. My personal beliefs are that this is the end times, but not literally the end times for the whole world. It is the end times for this particular kind of manifestation, this particular setup that we are in at the moment. And so whilst obviously living in interesting times, living in end times is never easy, I also believe that our souls have chosen to come here at this point in time because we feel we have something to contribute to this particular time and space. And that by being us and by being a kind of safe haven, we are here to kind of usher the world into the new times. Because like we know time is not linear. We're given this like bullshit birth, life, death, that's it, kind of linear time frame, and that is not how it works. Time is not like that. We know that things move in cycles. When we look at nature and we see how the cycles move in nature, how that definitely extrapolates out to our lives as well. We are nature and we are part of those cycles. I was listening to Rune Soup Gordon's podcast yesterday, his 200th show, which he did as a solo show, and he was talking about cycle models. And I was like, yes, this is it. It is a cycle model. He mentioned about the Fibonacci sequence and how we see the Fibonacci sequence in Hey Raven Song. We see the Fibonacci sequence in nature, like in a shell or, in so many things. It is a pattern that is repeated in nature all the time. And we're like, wow, look at that. That's repeated in nature. And then yet when we make things in that sequence, he talked about baskets and how they found like baskets get weaved in the Fibonacci sequence. But because humans are doing it and it's not an animal thing, although it is an animal thing, we are like, oh, look, isn't that interesting how humans are using that Fibonacci sequence? It's like, no, we exhibit that sequence. We are part of that sequence, So, hey, someone just popped up and said morning and I didn't see. I'm sorry. It disappeared too quickly. I'm filming it on my phone and it went too quickly. But hi, I'm happy to have you here. Oh, actually, there's 15 people here. Andre says, absolutely, the tower and death in the world. That's what we're living right now. A chance for a completely new beginning. Yes. And Janice says, I agree with everything you say. Oh, hey, Sea Willow Herbs and Tarot. It was you. Hi. Thanks. Nice for you to be here. Thank you. I wasn't sure if anyone was going to be here. I know I've been a bit sporadic of late. As I think everyone's been feeling that. The people I've been speaking to, the people who are kind of tuned in, you guys, have been feeling weird, as oh, hey, Rebecca. Yeah, this is actually it now. It's it. People have been feeling this kind of the difficulty, it is death. It's death. Oh, hey, Beth. It is the end times. And so even though perhaps it's not a physical death, oh, hey, people are coming in. Hi, Rebecca just woke up. And Red Raven Spirit from Australia. Cool. It must be, is it not? I've taken my watch off actually, so I don't know what time it is now for me. But yeah, it's death is difficult because it's that transition. It's like birth, isn't it? Hey, Christine. It's that feeling of it's a gateway, it's a threshold. And so it's not going to be like we just wake up the next morning and be like, hey, yeah, let's go for it. It's not going to be like that. Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety, and people have been feeling off, most definitely. Like I said, the tuned in people, the people who are aware of our being in, we're not separate, are we? We're not separate beings. We are all woven together. And so when something is going on, we're all just it affects us all. William says, we're not leaving a site. Well, I chose the title on purpose. I don't know if you guys recognize that quote. It's something that just, it's like following me around at the moment. It's one of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's the last Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book. And it is about Armageddon. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Hitchhikers. So it was a bit of a weird book, a bit of a departure from the other books in the series, but I actually really liked it. And the message that God left the universe when they, I love how Douglas Adams talks about God in it, but when God left, it says, we apologize for the inconvenience. And there's just so many cool things about that, isn't it? I think we are all leaving for outer space or inner space, or this space is going to change and we don't really know how it's going to, things are going to change. Belle says she's been feeling off since Samhain. Yes, yeah. I'm okay. I'm definitely okay. I'm most definitely been feeling it the same as I know lots of you guys have, that there is stuff afoot, that the world is a strange place right now. And I feel like that this is a hopeful broadcast. So, are you really going through your Saturn return right now? Well, the world is changing. Things are moving on, and we are going to see big change. And we're already seeing big change. This is not something new. This is something that has been happening since the 70s, I think, really. And when I was a kid, when I was about 13, I remember having this conversation with, I think it was like with my history teacher, about my idea about the world and sequences and stuff. And I was saying that if, to me, the world feels like there's like a new epoch, a new era, and it feels like an elastic band, and it like stretches and it grows. And first of all, you can stretch it really easily, and it kind of goes nice and smooth and easily, and like, you know, there's a lot of energy in it as it stretches out. But then as it gets further and further to the end point, it's really like tight and difficult, and it can't really stretch any further. And then it snaps. And when it snaps, it kind of pings back and kind of collapses in on itself. And that was my idea of how the world operated, you know. And then after that elastic band had snapped and kind of folded in on itself, a new one would start coming. But I much prefer Rune Soup Gordon's like idea of that. It's not his idea, you know, it's something that philosophers have talked about for loads of years, you know, but that kind of cycle model. So rather than it being an elastic band, it was a cycle model. But this is something I like to think about. And I feel like that's hopeful. I feel like if we see it as a cycle model, or if we see it as an elastic band model, and that when things have kind of reached their time, then that is the end, then that's good, because there are plenty of things in this current epoch which are not. I just saw the comment about the laugh. That's really funny. This current epoch is damaging in many ways, but it's also been really good in many ways, and we've learned lots of things, we've uncovered lots of things. So what I wanted to ask, and what I wanted to kind of talk about and ask you guys and see what your thoughts were on and how you are, is like what can we bring in, and how can we stay safe and healed and whole? How can we be kind of like beacons? How can we be light in this world which is changing at the moment? Because, you know, like I said, we've come here for a reason now. What is our role? What are we supposed to be doing here? And perhaps that's just like keeping our own shit together or, you know, witnessing ourselves when we're not, witnessing ourselves when we are in anxiety, witnessing ourselves when we are in fear. But if we are also in a place where we do have resources to spare, then how can we protect others who are finding things difficult, that kind of thing, you know? And I feel like being, Alison says, I hope this is a sign that we can't continue, no more business as usual. Yeah, and I love that you use business as usual, because that is it. You know, we are in a capitalist paradigm right now, and the world is about business as usual, and it's not going to continue like that. And we don't know what's going to come after, you know, exactly like when we die, we don't know. We can have like ideas, we can have theories, we can have you know, like experiences with spirits and things which tell us what is going to happen after we die. But until we actually do, we don't know. And that is why it's scary and it might be painful. And that is why we are in, humans of late capitalism. We are those humans. We are the humans of the capitalist apocalypse, the collapse of capitalism. And that's kind of what I'm saying, because we don't know what is going to come after. We just don't know. What can we do in the meantime to stay safe and to stay whole and to be here for each other? And I don't have any kind of set ideas. I don't have the answers, I'm sorry. But I do feel like... I love that, Andre. So I don't think it's about knowing what may happen next. It's about breaking the old system. Well, the old system is broken. It is broken. It's beyond repair now. And a lot of the pushback is the old system frantically trying to cling on. And that's why things are getting even more kind of crazy. Like the idea of normal life is interesting, isn't it? You know, like our idea of what is normal life is just, it's not normal isn't a term that we can really use. Although I was watching something interesting he's like a kind of world, he looks at like world economies and world strategies and things like that, Peter Zeihan. And he says that at the moment, for the last, like since the Cold War really, well, since the end of the Second World War really, the world has been more peaceful in totality. If we look at it like in a total way, obviously there have been wars and things in the meantime, but in the kind of overview, since then, the world has been more peaceful for longer than it has ever been before. And part of the reason for that is because certain forces like America have been very focused on protecting that peace. And because one of the main reasons for protecting that peace is to protect business as usual, to protect business, to allow for imports and exports to happen, for countries that before then were very focused on their own personal security could then start to become consumers and also producers of things, and that kind of false security that we've been living in is also fragmenting. And this is what he says. And so things are going to change from that point of view as well. So I thought that was an interesting take on it. I hadn't thought about it like from that point of view. Like he's definitely not at all like woo or anything, but yeah. Root talks and booms are hey. I don't remember this happening when it was swine flu or SARS. Yeah. And those things were very similar on the scale of how dangerous they were likely to be and how likely it was for the populations to be affected. There is definitely a narrative here of public control, I feel, Our Prime Minister in the UK, when he was speaking about it, he could have said things like, we're doing everything we can to keep things as running as smoothly as possible and to protect the people in the country. But instead he said, loved ones will be taken from us before their time. That's what he chose to say. And that, people like that don't say things by accident. So there is definitely a narrative of fear, and I feel like that is a deliberate narrative of fear. It's much easier to get people to do what you want them to. Panic buy, be a consumer, consume as much as you possibly can when they're afraid. So yeah, it's and like in the UK also, they've chosen not, although I think that's going to change now in the next couple of days, maybe even in the next 24 hours, but they've chosen not to kind of ban public events and things like that. So they want the economy to keep going, but they also want the fear and they want the panic buying, and those two things kind of aren't really working together. Oh, hey, Ash. Nice to see you. And someone else just popped up hey to you as well. They kind of pop up on the phone and then disappear before I have a chance to properly read them through. Yeah, and Belle, I saw you said that he said like 60% of the population. I've even seen like 80% of the population will be infected. And perhaps, we don't know. Like some people are saying the whole thing is a hoax and the virus is not really even a thing, but I don't know. And in effect, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. What we can control is ourselves, our own reaction to the situation. And people don't seem to think that holding ritual or like meditating and kind of shining light, that people think of that as woo and that it's not useful, it's not practical, it's not useful, you're not actually doing anything. But I don't believe that to be the case. I believe that actually is doing something. And like there's evidence in Lynn McTaggart, The Power of Eight woman's book, she has got like evidence of when massive chunks of people were meditating in certain areas in America, the crime rate went down in those areas. And like, I don't for 1 minute think that it's because those people were meditating at that time, they were the ones who normally cause the crime. No, there is something about our intention We're not allowed to think about it like that under this current kind of capitalist way of thinking. We are divorced from our spirituality. We're separated. And we are going to claim that back. And I think that's the revolution. That's what I feel I'm going to be doing, and what probably I know you guys are going to be doing in these times. So what does your revolution look like? That's what Gordon was saying as well at the end of his thing. It's about controlling what we can control, like leaning into being in an animate world, being connected, and allowing for change to happen, allowing for death to happen, midwifing that death, being there to witness and to allow the soul of this dying epoch to pass on. So, Red Room Spirit, have you done any tarot readings on this tour? I'll speak about that in a moment. If stress comes to your immune system. Yeah. And I talked about that a little bit earlier on, Ash, as well, is that when people are fearful, their immune system is suppressed. And then you are more likely to pick up things then. So, yeah. Thanks, Andrea. I know I'm it's preaching to the choir. I know you guys are already on board with this stuff, but I just wanted to kind of share it. And having somebody to talk to about it is really cool. So about the tarot readings about it, I haven't done tarot readings like, is coronavirus real, or will coronavirus, like kind of specific questions like that. I'm more concerned. St. Patrick's Day cancelled. Yeah. I'm more concerned about the death of the epoch. This is just one of those. It's just one strand in that, and so I haven't done a reading about that specifically. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Walking my path. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if it's real or if it's not real. The effect of it is real. And, that's the same as with magic in some ways, isn't it? It's like, people are like, especially when you come at it from a kind of chaos perspective, is it doesn't matter why it works or how it works, although I do like to kind of explore that. It's that it works is important. And so our way of thinking about things, our way of understanding the world and seeing the world is very coloured by, especially like by Enlightenment perspectives and things like that, by our history. Of course, because we are, cultural products and cultural consumers, whether we like to think about it like that or not. But we are starting, the chinks are beginning to show. And I feel like that's because light is shining in from the other side, and we are going to herald in something new. So I'm basically saying the same thing over and over again. So I probably won't stay on too much longer now. Definitely what Andre just said about tarot readings. Andre is a very experienced reader. Rebecca, hopefully, yes. I'm hoping that there will be, oh, hey, Suze. There will be a role for professional witches again. Like, I know there are professional witches in the world at the moment, but a lot of that is to do kind of almost like mundane stuff, like they get contracted to do like a spell for a specific purpose and things like that. I don't see that as, obviously there's that, but I see the role of witch in a community, on the fringe of the community as the kind of go-between. I've talked about this before. It's like the go-between between the human world and the spirit world, and as someone who can align the humans with the spirits more so. Hey Haley, thank you. I know it's probably a bit early for you guys over in the States as well. I literally just was like, I'm just going to make a video, and just turned it on. So I hadn't thought about it beforehand. I just wanted to kind of chat. So yeah, Suze, we're basically chatting about the end of the world. Something light and fluffy for a nice Saturday morning. Yeah. Let's be, it's that cliche, isn't it? Be the change you want to see in the world. Be a beacon of light, be a safe space, find out what it is that you want to be and be that. And I feel like that's our job now, that like we're kind of stepping up to do that. And while things go to shit around us, or even if we also contract a virus, or whether it's real or not, or we get ill or not, you know, people are really getting ill, whether it's this particular virus or not. And healing is important. So we can do what we can do. And like I said, that might literally be just being ourselves and kind of getting on with ourselves. And when I say just, I don't mean like that's lesser than. If you can spend a couple of moments meditating every day, I honestly believe that affects the whole world. Which seems, some people would think that's a bonkers thing to say, but that's the truth. So things like that, things like kindness, things like prayer, even if that is what you... People don't like prayer sometimes because it's like kind of seen in a Christian context, but I don't necessarily mean Christian prayer, you know, I mean communicating with deity, with something grander than ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, Susan, a lot of people say that it's not so, like, meditating is about trying to do it. It's not about it being switched off. So just by trying to do it, that is you actually meditating. Yeah, and like I do believe that businesses, like those kind of heart-centered businesses, those kind of... And I almost like the term business will not be a thing. It will be like offerings. It will be exchange of things that we need for things that other people want, you know? So yeah, exactly, Andrea. Of course. Sitting still and sending healing, exactly, yeah. Sending healing to yourself, to other people, for definite. Yeah. So it's coming up to half an hour. I'm sure you've all got things to do. So I'm going to say goodbye, but it was really lovely to talk to you. And yeah, leave me any messages or questions and things like that. I'm feeling more like I don't want to be making so much teaching videos, although I know that I still haven't done the... I want to do a moon video. I want to do the some more astrology videos and things like that. But I'm just not feeling it at the moment. I'm feeling more like I want to talk and I want to interact with people more and support them in the things that you want to do and want to ask about and talk about. So yeah, I don't know what was me going on. Oh, Joanna, I've been thinking about you a lot lately. Yeah. So if you can find space to chat, to talk, to support each other, let's do that. So, oh, I feel a bit weird. We all feel a bit weird, but yes, we apologize for the inconvenience. Thank you so much, guys. If I can figure out how to turn it off, I'm going to turn it off.